But if we view ourselves as a vehicle, yeshaya kerestir, the chaim was an ish kadosh ad niyad, about Moises, about Ruach HaKodesh. His tefillos obviously had a special place in Shemayim. He was initially a Talmud of the Liska Rebbe. He was more than just a Talmud. He had completely devoted himself to his rebbe. He was mevatel himself to his rebbe. So much so, when the rebbe of Liska passed away, there was an issue amongst the Hasidim who should take over. The rebbe of Liska had no sons, but he had sons-in-law, and many of them were indeed great Talmidei Chachamim and great tzaddikim, and indeed they began their own rabbinical courts and Hasidic courts. And while many did flock to them, it seemed that the majority was slowly turning to the yeshaya. Although the yeshaya himself was not a blood relative, or for that matter, any relative of the Liska Rebbe. The sons-in-law, fine people in their own right, felt that it was not proper for the yeshaya to remain in town, that it was taking away from their ability to assume the reins of leadership. But their position on this didn't quite stop the people from coming to the yeshaya, seeking his guidance, his blessings. But the yeshaya, always the ish shalom, went to the Gedolei Hadar, and he asked whether or not he should leave town. As far as he was concerned, he was prepared to leave. His chassidim, those close to him, begged him not to. The sons thereof fired off a very harsh tshuva on the Shiloh's behalf, a tshuva that appears in the Shalos Teshuvah's divrai chaim, Chesed Mishpat Chelik Vei Sin and Lamed Dalet. I'll quote one part of it. The sons thereof writes, Lo yadati shum tzedek Yerusha bezeh. I don't see any claim to inheritance in regard to this issue. Look at the founders of Hasidus, writes the sons thereof. Who took over after the Baal Shem Tov? It was not the Baal Shem Tov's son. Rather, it was of Divrai, the Maggid of Mizrich. No relation, despite the fact that the Baal Shem Tov had a son who was a great tzaddik, Reb Tzvi. Reb Tzvi actually did assume the reins of leadership, and one day he took off his royal talus and gave it over to the Mizrich Maggid. He said, my father just came to me in a dream and instructed me to give you over the leadership. You are better suited to lead the people. That did not mean that Reb Tzvi, the son of the Baal Shem Tov, was not a great tzaddik in his own right. But his father came and told him that the Mizrich Maggid would do a better job leading the people. Don't hold your breath for that to happen again. There was once a dispute amongst different brothers who should take over after a Rav, and one of them came to the satmar Rebbe and said that my father came to me in a dream and said I should be the one. So the satmar Rav said, how come you didn't come to your brothers and tell them that? In other words, maybe it was your own aspirations that came to you in a dream and told you should be the one, not your father. So the sons thereof argues. Look at the beginning of Hasidus, of Divrai, the Mizrich Maggid took over after the Baal Shem Tov. And who were the great leaders of Hasidus after the Maggid of Mizrich? The Barditcheva, the Moranayim, the Orhamohir. None of them sons-in-law, despite the fact that many of them respectfully did have sons great tzaddikim. And therefore the sons thereof said, his opinion was that there is no time of Yerusha over here. Reb Shila need not leave Liska, which eventually he did anyhow to avoid the controversy. But many disagreed with the sons thereof. There were many Rabbanim that felt that the concept of Yerusha in terms of leadership of Klal Yisrael has a place. Does not the Torah say b'sevish in regard to the Kohen Gadol, that the son of the Kohen Gadol has the first right to take over if he is roy lekach? If the son of the Kohen Gadol is a person that is fit for the Kohen Gadol, then he has the first claim for the position more so than someone else, because he is the son of the Kohen Gadol. Don't we see in regard to Malchus and to the passing of one king to another, that it goes from king to son? Don't Chazal tell us that if someone has devoted a life to Torah, and his son has devoted a life to Torah, and his grandson has devoted his life to Torah, that Torah machzeret al-Ochsan Yishallah, that this Torah will remain in the family indefinitely, provided that the subsequent generations are willing to learn. Like the famous marshal of Reb Chaim Volozhiner. True, he says, the Gemara says, if there is a chain of Talmidei Chachamim, Torah Machzeres Alachsani Shelo, the Torah returns to its inn like a traveler who has one innkeeper that he trusts, and will walk who knows how many miles out of the way only to go back to that inn. But if when he returns to the inn, suddenly one day there's no heat, suddenly all the windows are smashed out, suddenly it's raining in, and there's no food, he won't come back. So if there are two inns, and both are giving adequate service, he'll go back to the one that he's used to. But provided there's an inn to come back to. So if someone has a heritage, someone has fathers and grandfathers who are Talmidei Chachamim, there is something to it. The Gemara says so b'Seivish. It is easier for him to learn. There is a certain schacter the Shemaya. There's a certain Kiddusha that is in his blood, provided that there is an inn to come back to, provided that he does something on his own. Perhaps, however, this issue of whether royal blood plays a role in the leadership of Klal Yisrael is not really an issue at all. Elu v'elu divrai Elokim chaim. The opinions that say the sun comes first and the opinions that argue to the contrary don't necessarily contradict each other. And I believe that's what the Kedushas Levi is telling us in this week's Pash. We all know Yitzchak Avinu stood in one corner and he was mispowered for a child. Rivka stood in a different corner. She was mispowered for a child. As the pasuk says, "V'yetra Yitzchak l'Hashem l'noichach ishtay." Yitzchak davened opposite his wife. Rashi tells us, "Zelim et bezav Yezu mispowered." He stood in this corner.